Good afternoon, Sales Academy. So today's musing. I'm going to get straight into it. You know who you are as and all that sort of stuff, right? So thank you for following, and listening. Today's musing. It's been percolating for a little while, and it kind of it got triggered today because of a story shared recently. Um, and it just came back to memory today, and I was like, yeah, this needs to be done. So there's a couple of people in the Sales Academy family that know this podcast is coming, because they've kind of fueled some of the thought around it. So the subject of this podcast is see below, see below, and what I mean by that is there is a huge difference. I nearly swore then straight away. There is a huge difference between abdication and delegation. Now, I've seen this firsthand. I've experienced it. I've witnessed it. I've even been the purveyor of it, right? I've got it wrong many times myself in the past. So this isn't coming from a pedestal of perfection and all that kind of nonsense, right? But there's nothing more guaranteed to piss me off and get the wrong reaction from me. And when I say me, I am potentially speaking for a lot of other people as well, is when I get an email that is forwarded to me as an email chain that some action is expected from me, and the person that's inviting me to the table to get involved can't even be asked to explain it or just go through. So they put see below, or another one is FYI, right? And the one that kind of really triggered it today was the question mark. An email that just has a question mark because there was an action that was need to be taken or something, and it wasn't done, or it hadn't been done yet, and an email was sent through with a question mark, and it's like, really, really. So yeah, I kind of want to unpack this and just talk about it for a little bit because we can all get busy. Let's look at this from a couple of angles. So where I've seen this a lot in leadership and in businesses. So sales is a classic example. So as either business owners of I brought teams in, sales directors have developed teams and all that sort of stuff, and you get to the point where that sales director or that sales manager or that owner of the business has reached a level of time and experience, whatever you want in the industry. And in that, they've built a huge amount of relationships, connections. So it's not uncommon for requests to drop into their inboxes in their emails to say, "Hi John, hi Adam, hi Tony, hi Peter, hi Sarah, hi Julia. Can you do this for me? This, that, and the other, blah, blah." And because there's a level of understanding of that customer and a level of understanding of either what products or services that customer takes, the relationship that you've had over the last, you kind of know that account, right? You know that customer. So you've got a lot of tacit knowledge in you that isn't written down anywhere, it isn't explicit. So when you forward that email on, and I've been on the receiving end of this, where a sales director or a sales manager forward it on to me, and I go, "Hey, for FYI," and then I've got to sit there and read through this massive chain of emails to try and understand what is being asked for, what isn't being asked for, what's been batted back, what's been said, what's been promised, what hasn't. It's like it's a tirade. But the person who sent it, tick the box, they've done that bit. They forwarded it on, like, can you action this? And I've even had a conversation where I've like fed back and gone, do you mind just give me a bit of context? And they're like, well, just read the email chain. I was like, I have. And I'm asking for a bit of context because it seems to be there's huge gaps missing. Now I can phone the customer and I can have an exploration with them, but I don't want to sound like we know nothing about them because that's the position I'm in. So, and the response was, well, I may as well do it myself then. And I'm like, all right, but I'm giving you a lead. Wow. You're giving me a pile of shit that might be a lead, but what you're different is you're giving me something I have nothing about. And then the reason I say it might be a lead is it might have been a really red hot lead in your inbox, but as you've abdicated it to me, you've also abdicated the relationship. So when I go in cold, they're going to think that no one cares about them anymore, especially you, because you were the one that had the relationship, but you can't be bothered. So I'm trying to highlight the fact that this is breaking down. So there is a big difference between abdication and delegation, right? Delegation for me is about delegating a task with the knowledge and the information, the context, but also with the authority, the ability to be able to make decisions and take actions on that. So here's the task and here's the authority to carry it out. They're two very different things. And in my experience, they do not go together all of the time, dare I say, even the majority of time. And as leaders, I think we should do better. I think we should do better. For our guys to stand a better chance, for our customers to stand a better chance, we need to do better. So, FYI, see below, question mark, all right? Take it out of your emails. Look at other areas. Look at meetings, agendas. Look at how are you communicating what's important to the other people in the other stakeholders in the business, the other people that your team members that are going to help you deliver and carry out this stuff. How much are you investing in them in the understanding of what's required? And we talk about this a lot when we get into training, and it's come up in conversations today as well in coaching sessions. It's like when we get into training, there's some really, really basic fundamental things that I don't think people consider as often as they should. So let's just look at it like this. Number one, there is a task to be done. So what is the actual task? What do we need this action to be, right? That's the activity. What needs to happen? The what? And then it's like, well, how does it need to be done? That's about attitude and behavior and competency, right? So now we're setting the standards of this is the task that needs to be done, yes, but there is a way that we want it to be done. So what needs to be done? How does it need to be done? And let's not end there. Let's then give context and explanation to the person that's doing it. Why does it need to be done this way? And then let's start to look at cause and effect of what happens if it does, what happens if it doesn't. All right. So what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, why it needs to be done, what happens if it does, what happens if it doesn't. That's delegation, that's training, that's support, that's investment in your crew to do a really, really good job. Because I absolutely believe, hand on heart, none of you as leaders or business owners want your team to do a shit job. None of you as leaders or business owners want your customers to have a shit experience. So why, when it comes to the opportunity to actually invest and slow down a little bit and invest a little bit of time and effort into getting this right or as good as possible, as best as possible, why would we not invest that time? So, if this resonates with you, get in touch, right? If this is something that's happening in your business and you want to work through how to do this better, get in touch. One of the things we do with teams is classic. Like I'll ask a question about communication and I get teams to score themselves on how good they are between 1 and 7, not 1 and 10, because there's no fence sitters. Score yourself between 1 and 7, 1 being low, 7 being high. How good are you at communication? And then we take people through an exercise, not just the team, but the managers, the senior managers, the board if we need to, because I absolutely know people are lying to themselves and lying to other people because I've been doing this for long enough. The evidence is there, stacked up and racked up for years. So when I say I know, it's not coming from a place of ego, it's coming from a place of experience and evidence racked and stacked over years that we believe we're great communicators until we're put in a position to be able to communicate something. I remember years ago, one of the tasks at a conference with Action Coach years ago, and it only comes to mind because I saw one the other day. We were coming back from coming through Frome, and we stopped at a cider factory to get some cider, and they had this like 25-foot climbing wall on the back of a trailer. And we had these at conference, a load of them, and it was like 7 o'clock in the morning exercise. And we had to split into pairs. One of us was blindfolded, one of us wasn't. And we had to coach the other person up the top of the wall to climb this climbing wall blindfolded. And I remember it because for a number of reasons. One of them was because this guy was a 25 stone Kiwi, big kind of rugby playing Kiwi. And he had a kilt on and he was huge. And I'm underneath him, coaching him up the ladder. And A, I got an eye for, and B, I was scared he was going to crush me if he fell. So I had to be really precise in my communications. And it's amazing how people interpret what we say and do in their own way. So they say the true measure of communication is the response we get, not the one we want. I'll say that again. The true measure of communication is the response we get, not the one we want. So there's a huge part of communication, training, and everything that comes into this. So FYI isn't enough. Doesn't cut it. Don't be a dick. Get in touch. I'll see you soon. Peace out.